Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone who are teaching this truth in sincerity. And a shout out to Yakin that's out there on the four quarters of the earth proclaiming this truth. Bracha the Yahweh, Bracha the Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem Rakakadash, Bracha them. So, out here another week, prophesying the downfall of America, Babylon the Great, better known as Basra in the scriptures, also known, of course, Babylon the Great. And Mystery Babylon has a lot of names because this place of Sodom and Egypt spiritually, is pretty much all the wicked kingdoms all rolled into one place. Because you have every religion here. And you have every unlawful idolatry here. And you have all the abominable acts. Because sodomy is an abomination, and look at how well that's promoted here. That's why it's Sodom and Egypt spiritually, because it's been the land of our captivity. But now these Edomites are starting to feel what we've been feeling all along. These blackouts, and PG&E, 24-hour notice, and then next thing you know, people's power was getting cut off, and it was everywhere, all over this state, and followed by an actual false flag. But I thought that cutting the power was supposed to prevent fires. But you see, now fires are burning in LA. And you think this is coincidental? No, man, this thing was well engineered. Because what's happening is this war is breaking out. They're getting ready for World War III. Jade Helm means the army after next. The army after next will take over the United States, but they have to have martial law. They have to have everything locked down. So what better way than to go through with the Rothschild plan to burn California? And that's exactly what these things are. Atomic energy weapons being used against the people. Just like they used in Iraq. They did this shit in Fallujah, Mosul. They definitely used it in Libya. What, you think that they got 24-hour notices? No, man. Broken their houses with no goddamn warning, cut their power and everything. So now they're just starting to feel like what it's been for Syria, which has been going through it for 8 years, what Libya has been going through for 8 years. Now they're starting to feel it, man. Of course I know that a lot of people's power got restored, but nonetheless, though, this was only a test followed up by an actual emergency. Now the Federal Emergency Management Agency has actually, followed through, because, again, after the power got cut off, next thing you know, there was an actual false flag, aka atomic energy weapons being used. Nobody buys the official story anymore. And, like everything else, though, nobody buys any of it. And that's just it. You're seeing uproars of the people over here. We've been saying it for a long time that what happens over there will eventually happen over here. What they did to the people in Fallujah, they'll be doing over here. Take a look at your skies. Ain't nothing but fucking chemtrails everywhere. Your water has been fucking contaminated. The food is contaminated. And they're doing that on purpose, And if you think you're going to go organic or non-GMO, think again, because, of course, these same bastards that run Monsanto are in charge of the organic and the non-GMO crops. So, you're not getting good, healthy food. And that's just it, All these things are to make one docile, and that's what the media is for, And you see these people being led to the slaughter, man. I'm glad that PG&E cut my power, on the fucking news. Well, at least, my house burned down, but at least, nah, man. Not even a good crisis actor. You think I'd be jumping for joy because, oh boy, PG&E cut my power before my house burned down? Fuck no. Because they're not going to show you the real news. They're going to hire crisis actors. That's what Sandy Hoax was all about. Hey man, shit. These teenage kids, which these were childhood pictures of these kids, were at the Super Bowl not long after the Sandy Hoax. Oh, and let's not forget that same boy that died was all of a sudden in the Pakistan school shooting. Same boy. That same boy appears in lots of school shootings. Same picture. Same lies. All Photoshop. You just see pictures because, of course, dead people don't tell no tales. Not like you had a cameraman on the ground filming the fucking dead bodies, now did you? No, because the whole thing is a hoax. Nobody fucking died. But this one, man, Everybody's power was cut, and they say to prevent wildfires. I can think of even more windy storms that actually happened that they didn't cut the power for. That was earlier this year, man. Fucking brush was left for 2 or 3 weeks because these goddamn Edomites, man, they don't like to fucking pick up their messes. Even though they had that weekend after the storm was to pick up everything. Nah, man, they left the brush on the ground for fucking 2 or 3 weeks. Because these Edomites don't like to work. They have a burnout syndrome, as an excuse to not have to work. They always got Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, aka us Jakes, filling in their spots, because they call in sick for lots of reasons. Maybe they vape too much. Oh yeah, that's right, because of course they have burnout syndrome. They got a doctor's excuse to not show up, so Jake takes their place. And boy, Esau is jealous of that, wants more borders and all that. That's what this whole Donald Trump thing is. I don't think he's going to be impeached, but I'd be surprised if he were. If so, it just means somebody puts on the clown suit. Someone else going to put on the clown suit, going to take on this facade, that the one in the White House actually has all the power, when in fact it's the banking families, the elite, the Illuminati, the Rothschilds that run everything. They're the ones that have the power, but see, you don't ever see him. Pay no attention to the master pulling their strings. Pay no attention to the bankers. Oh, but Rothschild is a family name now. Everybody knows the name Rothschild. Everybody knows the name Rockefeller. They did before, but now they know that behind all the evil are these bankers, And they know that there's just nothing more than a, rich grabbing the benefits, burning down the fucking houses, so that way they can say, oh, well, PG&E just did it for our protection because there really was a fire. Like the car fire that happened, But how many years have there been wildfires and PG&E never cut the power? See, these people don't think, man. PG&E has been around for a very long time, but they weren't cutting power before. But that's because the Army After Next is coming. That's the UN Army, by the way. The Army After Next. That's what Jade Helm means. It means Army After Next. There's a 3-part series from another guy that actually served in the armed forces. He's a Jake, and he told you what that acronym was for, with the arrows. That pretty much that means that the Army After Next takes over in case of Third World War. We're in that Third World War. The third woe is coming quickly. So, by doing all these things, setting off these sparks, I think this was more than a test. They're setting off the sparks, getting ready for martial law. Chris Green just recently put up a video. Has martial law been declared? And I'm going to reshare that on my channel. No worries. I will reshare that, We definitely know, though, that he's kind of late on it. Dabu 7 was the one that was on top of this thing, man. He was the first to report on these power outages and the lies of PG&E. Of course, because we know that who runs the media, who owns everything? Fucking Rothschilds. These Amalekites, Because, like everything else, though, they're just not able to control the narrative. They wish that the internet had never been invented. Because there's too many people out here telling the truth now, and they're finding out that it's actually true, what we've been saying all along. That when the Third World War breaks out, that they'd be sending lots of troops into Saudi Arabia. That's happening. And there'd be more false flags. That's happening. And they would blame Iran for it. But the least of the flock, Amalek, would be the one to actually start it. Actually invade Iran while the U.S. is sending its troops there. So, if the U.S. is sending all of its troops overseas, that means that the U.S. troops are no longer here, that they need another Army After Next, which is all that Jade Helm was about. Training the Army After Next to deal with everything, man. And the ones that aren't announced, like those drills in L.A., well, now we know what the fuck they were for, man. Those Black Hawk helicopters that just showed up for practice drills? Now you have an actual emergency. Federal Emergency Management Agency is actually there, FEMA. And what is Arizona prepared for? They got their FEMA camps for all refugees, all the evacuees that left. They got FEMA camps waiting right there for them in Arizona if they're looking to flee, And that border wall? Oh, do you really seriously think it was to so-called keep illegals out? Fuck no, it's not. to keep people in here, man. So you can't flee to Mexico. Because let's face it, most people flee to Mexico because, in the prison system, they already have a record. So they flee to Mexico because they want better health care, and they already have a record, And they show you that in lots of movies. Even that Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where the guy had fled into Mexico. He had a car that could go up to 200 miles per hour, man. Where was he headed? He was headed to Mexico. So the reason for the whole border wall, which they were already building it anyways, they just making you believe that the government was shut down because they couldn't agree upon the funds for the border wall. If I don't get the funding, I'll just shut the government down. And so it was shut down for 3 weeks. It's to keep people in here, in this prison, because America is nothing more than a prison camp. It's a big, huge prison camp, man. You can't fucking find a job worth a shit that pays well, And then when you do retire, man, you ain't got enough to survive on, You're just barely getting by because you were never supposed to make it here. The so-called American dream of retiring and have a really good place and all that. Even if you did manage to buy your own house, man, you don't own that house. Oh, you never do. You have to pay taxes on that land. And if you're a homeowner, holy shit, man, they really fucking tax you. So therefore, you're a slave to the taxes. You're a slave to the Rothschilds. This is a whole place of slavery. You don't own shit. Edomites own everything, man. And they've been living deliciously. Now they can feel what it's like to be a refugee. Just like all the people they've destroyed in Iraq and Syria and Libya. All the homes that they broke up. All the power that they fucking cut off from the people. And fucking ravaged their towns and destroyed them. Now they feel that, Now their fucking government's turning on them. Now PG&E is cutting their power. And setting fire to their places. Because that's exactly it. And they're even having more PG&E commercials on there saying that, you should have an evacuation plan. Try to get you ready, get you mentally prepared for a FEMA camp. Because that's exactly what Kmart became over here. Local Assistance Center became FEMA. So you could sign up for FEMA. Well, anyhow, Malachi had prophesied about this place and about these people, red Hebrew Edomites, these devils that are in power. And, again, he first loved us. You've heard that before, right? Because he first loved us. Not the Christianity doctrine, but Yahweh Shai, he loved us first. Meaning that he loved those, he knew who was going to be on fire for him and who was going to go out here diligently, who was going to seek him diligently, and didn't care. Was ready to leave their mother and father for this. Anyone not found worthy, or anybody who is not willing to forsake everything they've been taught, to forsake their parents, their wife, their mother, their father, their sister, their brother, was not worthy of him. So these are the people that he died for, his elect, his beloved. Malachi chapter 1 verse 2. I have loved you, saith the Most High. Yet you say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was Esau not Jacob's brother? Saith the Most High, yet I love Jacob. That's right, he chose us. He could have chose these red Hebrew Edomites. Man, they claim Christianity, don't they? Well, not so much anymore, but that's because we've been coming out here prophesying that, hey man, that's not the image of the Most High. That's not what Yahweh Shai looked like. He wasn't a so-called white man. We've been doing that for a very long time now. And I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. So this place is going to become an ultimate pile of rubble. After those missiles are shut off, it's going to destroy everything. Don't forget the lasers from the chariots. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. This place got impoverished, man. It was destroyed, man. But what do you see? You see bumper stickers everywhere. We will rebuild. Writing strong, And then they try to give you a letters to God story, right? That this tire that supposedly blew, brand new, brand new fucking trailer that blew a tire, yet no burn marks on the rest of the trailer. The hitch is in perfect shape. It just looks like a brand new trailer with a blown tire had caused all these fires, but people supposedly wrote them and said that I forgive you, that I love you. That's what the official story tried to make us believe, right? Fuck no. And this place ain't being rebuilt. Do you see anything new in Keswick as of lately? Fuck no. Those people were broke. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down. They shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord hath indignation forever. Talking about you red Hebrew Edomites, you so-called white people, if you will. You know, we don't say that a whole lot because most of the people in this truth know who they are. But just for clarification's sake, you know, in case you try to say that it's the Arabs or it's someone else. Now, Arab does mean mixed race. So Gomer and all his bands, most of those are Edomites. Don't get me wrong. You know, and the Saudi royal family are Amalekites, and Erdogan's Amalek. You know, so don't get it twisted. Arab means mixed race, so that's how Esau gets in there. But doesn't mean that all living in them area are Arabs, or well, Arab means mixed race, like I said before, but not all of them are quote-unquote Edomites, so don't get it twisted. But, you know, pretty much, though, Esau tries to say that Ishmael is Esau, so he can hide himself. And your eyes shall see, and you shall say, the Lord will be magnified from the border of Yashala, you know. And that's just it, man, you know. Jerusalem is a people before it's a place. And so the people of Jerusalem, which is the southern kingdom, or it might be the northern kingdom. No, it's the southern kingdom because Ephraim is the northern kingdom. So you know, these two kingdoms are coming together. All 12 tribes are being accounted for. We can give you an accountance of all 12 tribes. That's why we have the site. We're giving you an accountance for them. These Amalekites that call themselves Jews can't even tell you what tribes they're from. They only mentioned 3 of them. You know, most of them claim to be Judah. And they're not, man. These fucking fake-ass Jews, man. They ain't the real people. A son honoreth his master, and a servant his master. If I then be a father, where is mine honor? And if I be a master, where is my fear? Saith the Most High of hosts unto you, O priests that despise my name, and you say, wherein have we despised thy name? This is very interesting now, isn't it, though? You know, because the people that claim to be in this yet profane the name, you know, and then try to say, oh, well, we don't know the name. You know, it just is no better than Esau, right? You have polluted bread upon mine altar, and you say, wherein have we polluted thee? In that you say, the table of the Lord is contemptible. You know, you try to change the rules. Well, you know, not all Edomites are going to be done away with, you know. And you pretty much, man, you know, you try to give a tainted offering, a false offering. Look at these Amalekites, you know, now hitting chickens like it's a goddamn piñata contest, you know. You know, you're not even supposed to sacrifice chickens. That's not how this ordinance is, but you think that you're better than the Most High. If you offer the blind for sacrifice, is it not evil? And if you offer the lame and sick, is it not evil? Offer it now unto my governor, when he be pleased with thee, or accept thy person, saith the Lord of hosts. You know? So we already have the ultimate sacrifice. Yahweh gave his life for those that he called. You know, so many were called, but so few were chosen. He chose us because he first loved us. He knew who was with him and who wasn't. Most people were not with him. That's why most people need to die. You know, they deserve the lake of fire that's coming. They deserve the martial law. That's why our people, as well as many others, are feeling this wrath. Don't you understand that we're in the days of vengeance now? The beginning of birth phase, we're starting to see these days of vengeance. The government's cracking down hard, cutting off power and then falsifying stories. You know, they've been lying. The news has been lying a very, very long time, but falsifying evidence, you know, saying that, oh, it was a tire that blew that caused the car fire, when in fact it was atomic energy weapons. And the same thing in LA, Mendocino fire, all those fires, man. The government is shortening. He is pretty much doing a downsize plan, aka depopulation agenda for the army after next, so that way they'll be ready. That's what Jade Helm is. Where isn't even among you that who would shut the doors for naught? Neither do you kindle fire on mine altar for naught. I have no pleasure in you, saith the Lord of hosts, neither will I accept an offering at your hand. You know, again, pretty much, you know, that's what he's saying to those that ain't really in this, you know, that are half-witted or just don't have it. But you have profaned it in that you say, the table of the Lord is polluted, and the fruit thereof, even the meat, is contemptible. You know, you think that you have a better way of doing things. You know, and you just pretty much profane the word when you do the things that you do. And you say the things that you say. It's no better than these Edomites, man. They change the Bible all the time, you know, to fit their agenda, you know. But you're starting to see things take off. You know, we're starting to see uproars of the people, you know. And a lot of people just don't believe what's, you know, what the official story is, you know. They question it. You know, we're in them times, you know, just like Yahushua told us in Matthew chapter 24, you know, verse 6, man. He said, you shall hear wars and rumors of wars. We're hearing it all the time, man, you know, that they're getting ready to attack Iran. You know, they caused an uprising in Iraq. You know that Gomer has invaded Syria this week as well. See that you not be troubled. For all things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Oh, and that's another thing. Gomer's now attacking the U.S. troops, they say. You know, I don't know whether that's true or not, but pretty much, though, you know, they look at the SDF and everything else as terrorists, you know. And the Kurds were exploited by the United States like they've done before. They betrayed the Kurds once again, like they've always done before, you know. Anybody that, you know, back to the United States, we would support them. Bullshit. You know, and let's face it, probably a lot of the Kurds, man, you know, didn't even want anything part of it, but who can resist the beast? Who can make war against the beast, right? For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. And we're seeing that. All these are the beginning of sorrows, you know, so we're in those beginning of sorrows, man. We're starting to see these birth pains. We're starting to see this system crumble. This system is collapsing. People are well aware that what they're telling us on the news is not the actual truth. You know, people are looking to the alternative media, so they don't trust their leaders anymore. They shall deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And we are the most hated group. Great Millstone is the most hated group. We're the most hated people, because we ain't just enemies with the rest of the world. Oh, shit. We're enemies with 2/3 of Yashala, man. 2/3 of our people are our enemies, man. They're going to deliver up to kill us, man. You know, our families, you know, so-called friends and all that, they're going to deliver up to kill us, man. They're going to tell FEMA where we're at, if they could. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. That's happening now, man. This is a time of hate, despair, distrust, you know. And many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. You know, you got General Hanna out there telling people that the mark of the beast, that's not the microchip. So many of them are saying that the microchip is not the mark of the beast, but yet that seems to be where everything's going forward. How do you explain that? You know, why is it mandatory now that everybody has the real ID in order to get into ports? You know, eventually they're going to have lockdowns where you can't even get into the next city unless you have an identification tag. They want identification tags. What the fuck is that? That's the mark of the beast, you know? So, you know, these people can play dumb. But you see, we've been the longest running group that's been out there telling our people that the mark of the beast is the RFID implant, the same one they put in pets. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved. You know? And that's just it, though, is that we have to endure this thing to the very end, you know? Until, you know, they pull the plug on this internet, they hit the kill switch, which that can happen at any time, because almost everything that we've been prophesying that would happen is happening. We're just waiting on the mark of the beast, most of all. And we're waiting on the martial law, which we've seen some of the beginnings of martial law. So martial law is about to be declared in L.A. We already seen some test runs, like the Boston bombing false flag hoax, you know, which led to the lockdown. And supposedly they were looking for the suspects. Nah, man, they were confiscating guns, just like they're doing in L.A. right now, man. And they're taking people and putting them in FEMA camps. They're killing people in them shelters, you know, because that's exactly what you heard during the hurricane in Houston, man. They were killing people in them shelters. You know, that wasn't supposed to make the news, but it did make the alternative media, YouTube. And in fact, this blackout on information is getting so high, you can hardly, if you try to type in false flag PG&E, man, you're not going to find it. You're only going to find the real news reports. Very hard to find it, you know, because of course, man, you know, they changed their guidelines. So you're not going to be able to read that. But not so long ago, man, just anytime the false flag popped up, you would see tons of videos titled that. That doesn't stop us from talking. We just ain't titling them that anymore. And the gospel of the kingdom shall be preached unto all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then the end shall come. Again, this ending is coming, man. We have camps in the Philippines, we have them in Germany, we have them in the Netherlands, you know, and I've heard, and I haven't seen it yet, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, that we do have a camp in Pakistan, Afghanistan, somewhere around that area, man. So it's happening, man. This gospel has been preached. And don't forget, you have language interpretation, so they can translate our English, and they can get it in those languages. And you have a lot of camps here that speak directly the Spanish tongue, because of course most of the Northern Kingdom speaks Spanish, you know. And then of course you see Gad among our camps, you know, and Reuben. All the tribes are coming together. And so if all the tribes are coming together and the prophets are out there speaking, then what's going to befall them? We're seeing the angels visit this place, you know, by way of them chariots. We're seeing them pop up around the camps. We have protection of angels. And even if we don't see them, that doesn't mean we don't have the protection, you know. I mean, this whole place was under martial law. You could say that when you've got, you know, National Guard fucking barricading almost everything in Reading, and everything's up in smoke. Yet I still went out there wearing a mask teaching this, you know. You know, I was one of the ones that did not get evacuated, but I was close to being evacuated. Certainly wasn't going to go to no shelter, because I know what they do to people in them shelters. They killing people in them shelters, you know. I'm not dumb, you know, and that's just it, though, is they want people dumb. They want people docile. It's just that their main witchcraft of the mainstream media just doesn't work. So they regret having created the internet, you know. And of course, you know, you're going to have those naysayers. They're everywhere. You know, they're going to say, oh, well, you can't believe everything that's on the internet. Oh, so I'm supposed to believe what the local TV is telling me? How long have I been a PG&E customer? How long has PG&E been in power? They've never cut people's power in all the years that PG&E has been in service. They never just cut the power because of wildfires. You see what I'm saying? Now, people smell it. They smell bullshit when they hear it. And they knew that that was fucking bullshit. You know, I knew it was fucking bullshit once I got the call. And thank goodness that we had another brother here in California that already did a whole video, about 45 minutes worth, you know, and I believe he did that in his vehicle, you know, Men of Valor 12, I believe, you know. He done a whole video on that, you know. So I was already prepared mentally if they did shut it down. Reading Electric Utility didn't shut down the other half of Reading, but that doesn't mean that they won't in the future here. Remember, this is only a test. So this being a beta test, but you're going to see a lot more of this shit, man. You know? And then you had that FEMA alert, you know, just a couple months ago. And then this happens. You had a FEMA alert, you know, they were testing that. And then there was a presidential warning, remember that? So, like everything else though, man, they're getting ready for things to pop off. And these elites, they were planning to burn California for a long time. That's what these wildfires are about. But do you believe that they're wildfires? Shit. Remember Smokey the Bear? He used to always say only you could prevent forest fires. But they changed the saying, only you could prevent wildfires. Wait a minute. I don't have atomic energy weapons lying around. I'm not doing this. I'm not the one that's doing this. Your government's doing this. They know how to do this. They've been doing it in Iraq, Syria, Libya, Yemen. They've been doing these psyops for a long time. Ukraine. You know, remember Ukraine? And they created the insurgency, you know, in these places. What they'll do is they'll try to get people riled up. You know, and you can definitely say they've been doing it in Hong Kong too. They're trying to get uproars of the people there, you know. Because, of course, Mossad is in every nation, man. Man, if the world put a ban on goddamn these gutter rats, these Amalekites, they wouldn't be able to get in. But you see, that's just it. Look at how long Esau's been hidden. You know, his identity's been hidden. You know, if these countries said that all Edomites are not allowed here, well, then Esau would be in these other places that he stole. But you see, they haven't done that. They haven't put a ban on Edomites. But no worries, because we have the promises of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, like he tells us in Revelation 13. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with a sword must be killed with a sword. So eventually, yeah, there will be a ban on Edomites. And they'll be in slavery. All these nations are going to be in slavery under us. But Esau's never going to be brought back to his land. No, he's going to be burned up after he served slavery for 1,000 years. Look at how long, you know, we've been serving Esau. To this very day, we're still serving Esau. You know, we have to go out there and work just to get papers. Just to get papers to buy just some rights. We don't have all rights. Because the government can come in and just shut off your fucking power. So, nah, man. You're not even buying your rights from Esau, your so-called given rights. You were never given anything in this place. You were never going to prosper in this place. And most people know that the American dream, it's all bullshit and it's all bad for you. You know, it's just that, you know, a lot of our people, man, they just don't want to believe it, man. You know, they'd rather believe, you know, that everything is beautiful. You know, they'd rather believe that stretch Christianity. Well, let's just face it, you know, the Most High put these stumbling blocks up on purpose, which is why Esau had Christianity for so long. It was prophesied that he would do this. When the 1,000 years were up, Satan shall go into all the nations to pretty much deceive the world, you know. And then this war, Gog and Magog. Russia would break out from the northern country. Russia would come up against it, and then the end would come. And he was that was not found written in the Lamb's Book of Life, was cast in the lake of fire. And we know that lake of fire is talking about this nuclear destruction, because we know the power of what it is that can destroy, a destroying wind that can do such things now. You know, John saw it as a lake of fire. That's what it's really about. You know, so we know World War III is ineffable. No more wisdom could be found. They're prudent. Ain't nothing prosperous. Shit, man, you ain't got choices, very many choices, you know, on places that you can shop at anymore. Shopko, that's gone. Sears, that's gone. Kmart, that's gone. You know, so you're now stuck with the other places. Oh, and don't forget, Hometown Buffet is gone, you know. And they just been shutting down with no goddamn warnings, you know. So, like everything else, though, when you have nowhere to go and the only job you can get is an Uber, and then everybody's fucking doing Uber, what do you think's going to happen? Ah, man, it's going to become one clusterfuck. The system is collapsing. And it's good to see. You know, George Carlin often talked about it. I want to see the system collapse. I want to see the chaos. Well, he didn't live long enough to see everything that's happening now. Because had he did, he's like, hey, man, this is a dream come true, man. You know? Because, of course, man, the system has to collapse. You know? There's nothing good here. You're never going to prosper. We was always meant to do more. But we don't own shit. We can't just grow whatever we want. Nah, man, the government tells us what we can and can't do. But now there's a resistance. People have a resistance against their government. You know, I even heard a story, you know. I don't know if it's true or not. But I heard a story, though, just by, you know, talking about it with a few people, that somebody actually ran their car deliberately into a PG&E truck. So these fucking PG&E motherfuckers have got a target on them. Of course. Because they know that it's bullshit. And fucking people have a right to be pissed off. You know? But let's face it, though. We're not inciting riots. We're not any extremist group. We wouldn't tell our people to, just go ahead and do that. But you see, who shall rise them up? People are coming against their own government. You know? They're starting to show resistance, and that's the whole reason why there was the Jade Helm practice drills. You know, it was a practice drill because they knew there'd be uproars of the people, and we're seeing that everywhere. You know, we know what's going on in Ecuador. We know what's going on in Venezuela. Look at how many times. But at least, you know, Maduro had regained control. Because, of course, Russia as thou being a guard unto him. You know, and of course, like everything else, man, things are intensifying in Syria, which is the valley of Yehoshaphat, right there on the Euphrates, man. You know, Gomer and all his bands would be involved with this war, and that's what we're seeing, though. So I hope all this has been edifying, man, and, you know, like everything else, though, we're going to keep on proclaiming this truth while we still can. I wish that this system would work, but then it's going to give me a battery warning, and it's going to cut me off like it did last week, so I know where it cut me off. You know, for that I want to say, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Wa Abba Babal, Barak the hopeful elect. Shalom.